Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Tinybird webinar. Now, I'm with some familiar faces. If you're used to coming and checking out Tinybird content, but I am a new face. So I think we should just do a total round of intros. You guys can reintroduce yourself while I introduce myself too. How's that sound? Good.
Sounds great.
All right. So my name is April, and I am the newest developer advocate here at Tinybird. I started 3 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks and 3 days ago. You know, who's counting? But on the very first day, I was told I would be doing this webinar here on the 1st. So here we are. I'm going to give it my best shot. But this is why I've brought my team along with me to help out. And there's also some friends in the chat. So please do ask questions, but know that I may not be the one answering them today, but I promise I will learn with every stream. Jim, who are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Moffitt, another developer advocate for Tinybird. Been here just over a year, and I feel fortunate to have such a great platform to advocate for. Coming live to you from Colorado. So good to be here.
Oh, Colorado. I'm coming live from Pittsburgh. I wonder who in the chat is closest and furthest from us. So where's everyone tuning in from over there in the chat? Cameron, where are you tuning in from? Who are you?
I'm Cameron. I am a product marketing manager at Tinybird. I am tuning in from Nashville, Tennessee. That's why I have the guitars in the background. Nice. So we between the three of us, I think, have 3 U.S. time zones covered. We're great.
Nice.
We need to get a West Coaster in, but otherwise we're good. And I would just like to say, while this is April's first Tinybird live stream, I've already seen the demo, and it doesn't feel like her first.
No,
I probably just gave you the announcer's jinx, but
oh my gosh.
Let's jump in. Let's do it. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah, let's go for it. Man, Cameron, why'd you have to do that? So I'm not only new to Tinybird, I'm also new to just a lot of typical web dev in general. So I did my best to put something pretty together so that even if I can't answer a question, at least you have something nice to look at.
It does. So, it does not look like you're new to web dev. Let's do it. Sorry, I'll start.
All right. So use case for today. Guys, I don't know if you know this, but there's something that happens, brings the whole world together every couple of years. It's pretty incredible. Maybe you've heard of it, the Olympics, and that's happening now. Have either of you been checking out any of the games?
Yeah, I've been a faithful viewer most evenings watching the prime time. I kind of don't like watching it on delay, but hey, I got a day job.
Yeah. Time zones, man. Cameron, do you have a favorite sport in the Olympics?
I love soccer, so I have been happily cheering on both the men's and women's U.S. teams. Swimming is always great. I went to UVA. We got a couple female, the Walsh sisters on the team. Gymnastics. I'm Team Simone all the way.
Yeah.
How can you not be?
And Team Steve.
Yes. Mr. Pummelhorse. Anyway, yeah. I just learned that Jim's a swimmer, so maybe for the next Olympics, we'll have some data about Jim competing in the Olympics. What do we think?
And I brought my coding goggles.
Oh wow! Amazing.
We need awesome. Oh no, I was trying to zoom in on it.
Oh no! You don't want to do that.
Too quickly.
All right. April, what are we building?
Back to the use case. Okay. So picture this. You have an app, and it's because you love the Olympics and you were missing the Olympics that you started building a web app to look at some of the historical data, right? So we're talking who the past medalists are. We're talking the history, the top countries for different sports. So, Cameron, you said you love soccer. I'm pretty sure it's called football in
whatever
Olympics terms. So maybe you want to be able to see all of this. And that's pretty easy. to do with historical, like static data doesn't move. And this is great. This was a fun little project you did. But here's the thing. The Olympics are happening. Search volume for Olympics has gone through the roof, and you are missing out on all of that traffic if you don't have real-time data, right? Like if I'm going to search Olympics and get to a website or an app that does not have the data about the Olympics that are happening right now, I'm going to leave and go somewhere else. So we're going to try to fix that today and show how Tinybird makes it really easy to get some of that real-time streaming data in. It also makes it easy to get, the static data. These are all Tinybird charts right here, which is something from our summer of launch. I'm going to try to, sprinkle in as many of those announcements as possible. There are much more in-depth articles and videos about different ones that you can check out, but I'm really just trying to do a high-level overview of as much as I can here today. So we'll see where we get. So, just to show you a little bit more of this app, for example, I have this nice little schedule showing all of the upcoming team sport events and who's playing. We can see some athletes right here. We have some like featured athletes, and we can do some switcheroos if we want, a little filter, see who's who. And again, like all of this, the hard part was figuring out all the front end stuff, because Tinybird makes all the data stuff really, really easy. And we're going to see a little bit of that later. Jim, Cameron, do you have any questions so far about anything you're seeing?
Yeah, well, one question I have is, I just love to know where you get all this data. Like, where'd you find it? And can you speak quickly about how you got it in the Tinybird?
Sure. Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I got the data from a variety of sources. So for example, the historical data I got from this Kaggle, which I just learned from you, Jim, a little bit ago, that you hadn't heard of that before. Anyone working on a data project out there, there's a ton of amazing large data sets that you can find here. And then to get it into Tinybird, it's as easy as, hey, let me download this CSV.
Nice.
Get over into Tinybird and add a new data source, and you can go ahead and upload it right there. So for that existing data, that's kind of what I did. There's also a bunch of connectors here, and Cameron, could there maybe be more connectors coming soon? Who's to say?
I think there's going to be a new connector coming pretty soon. I think I think if you're on if you like Amazon, like if you're a Jeff Bezos guy, I think you'll be happy. Okay. I think you'll be happy with what's coming. Yeah.
Okay. Little tease. I wonder if anyone in the chat has any guesses. But we'll see.
Oh, I bet you could guess in an instant. But anyways, let's roll.
So I found some data there. I found, just Googling around for different data sources for the historical data. And then when it comes to the mock streams, and I'll show you this a little bit later, used a tool called Mockingbird that makes it really easy to kind of generate that real-time data stream until you're ready to connect to whatever your other way to ingest will be. Cool. Okay, so yeah, we have a lot of stuff here. Another thing, actually, that you were mentioning to me, Jim, before. So when I was trying to build this out, and I'm also 3 weeks into web dev so this has really been a crazy 3 weeks for me. So I started with just building out some dummy data so that I can see what I was doing. But then to add that real data, it's as easy as, a few lines of code. Let me comment out my dummy data, and then, boom, you have the schedule updated from, these few examples that I had to sourcing it. And that Tinybird pipe is only showing me events that are happening ahead of now. So this is like an upcoming schedule.
So I think I just want to like emphasize, I don't know if this was stated clearly, but like this entire front end is backed by Tinybird APIs.
Yeah.
So all of these visualizations, whether it's the charts you showed on the results stuff, and like all of this is being sort of built and powered by APIs that you created in Tinybird.
Exactly. And, you know, like I said, that was the easy part. I actually,
Right.
in my first or second week, I don't remember, but I had a call with a few other new joiners and Tinybird CEO, and he said something that I loved, which was things that could be easy should be easy. And I really feel like that is like a lot of what we're doing here with how easy it is to ingest data from multiple sources, to take different sources and just use SQL to like join them together in a way that you need, get just what you want, and easily, publish that API that then a few lines of code you can add it to your app.
That is amazing.
Yeah. All right. So I've been a little afraid to show this, but I think we need to just get into it. So actually, let me go over here. So we have this Cheers page. This is going to be what, just lost service for a second. This is going to be what I'm going to try to build. And in part why Jim and Cameron are here to talk while I'm trying to troubleshoot something that I inevitably fat finger somewhere. So real time, right? Well, what's cooler than seeing, hey, what athletes are trending, the cheers and messages that they're getting from their fans everywhere. So we have this cheer stream, again, using Mockingbird to generate that mock data stream.
So for those of you who aren't familiar with Mockingbird, it is an open source data stream generator that our team created. It's a great way to just like generate some mock data based on a schema and send it to, you can send it to Tinybird. You can see we've got some other destinations there as well.
Yeah, this has been
very cool
awesome
for demos like this.
Yeah, it's been really fun to play with and really fun to try to figure out how I'm gonna be creative with showing off this use case. And so you can see kind of, giving back random usernames and athletes and a message, everything like that. So let's send some to just see kind of how this looks. So we're over here. We can see the comments and the most cheers chart updating as more comments are coming in. So that is pretty cool to see the cheers. I mean, of course, Simone Biles just kind of crushes everyone else. I might have to change my weighted values for this pick weighted parameter that I have here, but
I think it's accurate.
Realistic.
I think it's accurate.
That makes sense.
So let's see. I think should we just get into it and try and
I want to see how you built this.
And I think I saw you're sending in 10 events per second. So that's a really cool thing about Mockingbird. You can ramp up how many events per second. So maybe you want to stress test something. You could literally send in thousands and thousands per second with this tool.
Yeah,
it's quite a useful thing.
Yeah, it is always kind of funny working on smaller demos or personal projects and not quite at the scale that there really are these use cases out there for businesses, like data. It's everywhere. But yeah, stress testing definitely important, because whenever I'm working on something just for myself, I'm not getting up to the thousands, hundreds of thousands, anything like that. So, all right, let's go for it. Where should we begin? I took notes, so don't mind me over here taking some notes.
Should we maybe start on just understanding like how this data is getting captured into Tinybird?
Yeah, let's do that. So we have two different data sources that are going to be coming together to help populate this cheer table. So we have our mock data stream that's sending data, and we can see from it that it's also giving an athlete ID. So I think it would not be very compelling at all if it said new cheer for 4, new cheer for 87. So we need to join those IDs with our athlete table, our athlete source, to be able to actually make it meaningful. And luckily, that is also pretty easy to do with Tinybird. So we're going to be using a stream from Mockingbird, and then we are going to be using our brand new Postgres table function to take in this featured athlete table from Superbase. Cameron, I know that you recently just launched the post. Anything you want to say about Postgres?
Yeah, so if you're on the stream, you may have seen, or if you follow us, you may have seen that we recently launched this PostgreSQL table function. We've been asked about having a Postgres connector for a long time. And this is a little bit different than some of our native connectors. So instead of kind of having that that UI walkthrough kind of guided connection, what we've done is just expose this table function in SQL. So now, and April will walk you through this, but it's basically you can now use SQL in a Tinybird pipe to select from your remote Postgres table. In this case, she's using Superbase, and then use those results in Tinybird. So you can use those in your pipe directly, or you can actually write that data into a data source that you can kind of optimize in Tinybird for the way that you want that sorted and to use in your analytics. So it's a nice flexible way to approach bringing in data from Postgres, and I think it's pretty cool. So yeah. April will show you how it gets done.
Yeah, and you can check out, over on the Tinybird blog, that wonderful post by Cameron, as well as post about all of our other releases and summer of launch and everything like that. So definitely you should check it out. So let's go in here and start with this Postgres one. So I can do a little zoom right here, maybe close the sidebar. So it's really as simple as this: select star from PostgreSQL. I'm always not sure how you pronounce that correctly.
Ongoing debate, yeah.
Ongoing debate. Well, how do you say it, Jim?
I think it's PostgreSQL.
PostgreSQL. Okay, nice.
PostgreSQL.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's quite a simple function. We just tell it, hey, this is where it is, and this is the table I want, and then using the Tinybird variables, formerly known as secrets API, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, it's the environment variables API.
The environment variables, which is a way to use command line or however else you want to use that API to store your secure value. So in this case, I want my password to be secret so that I can just reference it like this. It's a easy way to get that going. So we'll see that from this, we are getting our data from over here. Now,
and I should just add on that variables API, there's a specific support for a secret type of variable. So you're storing these, your Postgres username and password secrets here, which is great. But you can bring in really any variable, and this is kind of stored on a workspace level. So if you have just different environment variables that you want to bring into Tinybird, this is a way that's now supported, which is pretty cool. This was released, I think, maybe a couple of weeks ago, so it's pretty new to Tinybird and has a lot of flexibility. So you could even you've got your Postgres host and port and things like that. All of those things could be stored as environment variables if you wanted them to be.
Yeah, I definitely, I love to make things reusable, easy to call as much as possible. I tried to do that a bit for my app, as you'll see, but the time crunch was happening. I was trying to figure a lot of stuff out. So not as reusable as I would like, but they're going to get better. This is my first one, right?
Yeah. It's a demo. Yeah.
It's
Looks
a
good to
demo.
me. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So once we create a new pipe and do this, so this is a slightly different than how you typically would do the data source, as creating a new data source, where instead you create the pipe first, you use this function, and then you create a copy pipe with it. So Jim, because I'm learning too, maybe you can just remind everyone what a copy pipe is.
Yeah, I think of it as like a cron job. I mean, that's what drives it, but it's a way of like capturing a set of data and writing it. I've used it in a couple projects now, and it's a great way to move data around. And in your case, you're pulling data from a Postgres database. Can you show the data source that it produces?
Yep. So, all right, I just ran the copy, a nice little 3-step wizard, and now we have our demo data here. And
very nice.
There were a couple of options there. So in this case, right, at this point, the athletes competing are not changing. So we really just need to do an on-demand copy once. But you can also append data or, have different options around how you want that connection to work.
Yeah, there's a cool thing too, even here, where like you can filter your Postgres select over data that you have in Tinybird. So for instance, if you had like a timestamp column in your Postgres table that was like last time this entry was updated, you can basically append only data that's been added since kind of the last timestamp you have in Tinybird. So that's a cool little feature to be able to filter your Postgres query based on the data you have in Tinybird, and that's useful for things like upserts and keeping things in sync.
Yeah, all things that I'm going to be learning a lot more about, and everyone's welcome to subscribe and come along on the learning journey with me. Cool. All right, so we have one, but this is not the whole story, right? So we have this data that's not changing, and then we have a data stream that we want. So right now I have my data sources that I'm currently using, but I want to make a new one. So over here, back to Mockingbird, I had this other tab ready to go. Data source name cheer demo. Now, you might have noticed there is no cheer demo here right now, but it will make the data source for you if it doesn't already exist, which is nice. All right, and again, our preview here. Should we change the weight of Simone Biles's?
No, if
No.
anything, make it more.
And you touched about a great feature of Mockingbird 2, or Tinybird feature, where you throw in a JSON object in this case, and we auto infer the schema for that data source. And in my experience, I find it 90-95% what I want in the end, in terms of what data types it selects. But it's an amazing way to get going quite quickly.
Yeah, it's really useful for like prototyping like this, where you just like want to throw some data into Tinybird and start building with it.
Yeah, I was having a lot of fun playing around with a lot of the different data types, right? It's not just like numbers, but you can also get like internet username, and it'll generate random usernames, or location, country, all sorts of different stuff. All right, let's send some over. Now, this is like currently doesn't exist, so let's just like do a lot to get us started. All right, and boom, there it is.
Wow.
And it's coming in.
Very cool.
Very few clicks.
And it's a live stream. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
live stream on the live stream.
Yeah, and I think we should just click into like what's happening, what the events API that's being used. So one of the Mockingbird destinations is Tinybird's events API, which if you're familiar with Tinybird, you've probably used, but if you're new to Tinybird, the events API it's I think like 3/4 of data gets streamed to Tinybird using the Events API. So it's a simple HTTP streaming endpoint that you just pass a JSON payload to, and Tinybird will receive that and write it into a data source. So it's a really, really powerful way. You can hit it out of the box at 1,000 requests per second. Requests, not events. So you can do some micro batching stuff. I mean, we've got people that use that use that API to send tens, hundreds of thousands of events to Tinybird every second. So really, really powerful, flexible way. Few lines of code in your application to start sending data to Tinybird. So really, really useful streaming endpoint.
Yeah, the Tinybird API is great, and then the APIs you make with Tinybird are also great. I was just telling the guys,
APIs.
It's all APIs. I was just telling the guys that we should get I Heart API shirts, but maybe the heart should be the little Tinybird icon. What do we think?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So now we have our 2 data sources in, and I hope that it's obvious that if we were not sitting here chit-chatting, you could do that in 2 minutes less. I don't know. It's pretty quick. So, all right. Now we have our cheer demo and we have our athletes, but we want to put them together, right? Because like I was saying, new cheer for 127 is like not very compelling. So let's go ahead and do that. And we are going to do that by creating a pipe. So pipes are really cool. I like them because it lets you kind of break your queries down, go step by step. So maybe first I want to like select this data, and then I want to select from the result and filter by something else and add in some parameters. And then boom, you can go ahead and publish that API. Jim, what do you love about Tinybird pipes?
I love that, as you mentioned, you can link them together, chain them together. It really helps if you have some complex SQL in mind. You can break it into logical pieces. It's one of my favorite things. I love the fact that you can blend in what's going to become your API endpoint request parameters into these nodes that make up these pipes. That's what really, when I first saw that, when I was first discovering Tinybird, that blew me away. How you can basically design an API with elaborate request parameters and build it in these pipes.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty impressive. I am going to do a magic trick right now with a little copy paste.
You're a fast typer.
I know. I really just crushed it right there. But this is from my live one, so let me just update this to be from the demo sources that we just did, because I'm trying to recreate the magic for you in real time. But I did bring the guys along to talk while I need to focus on figuring stuff out.
Sure.
Boom. So here we go. And just so we can see really quick. So we're doing this left join, right? We're saying, hey, whenever, take this athlete ID, and instead I want to be able to return the athlete's country and sport and name and everything like that. So I'm just going to get rid of some of these for now. Oh, this is where I I'm going to mess something up for real, probably. But just to make it a little bit easier.
Would be live if you didn't.
Yeah.
Just to make it a little bit easier to see, right? So now instead of, and I do love that you can just click it and kind of get a preview of the table.
That is amazing to see the schema right there, and it helps you write queries.
Yeah. So
I also recently discovered that you can open up the SQL editor in full screen. Yeah. Type period. Just hit a period.
Oh,
look, he just did it. But there's also, if you hit period in the UI, it opens up all the not in the SQL editor.
Wait. Oh, in the
just hit
boom.
There are your shortcuts.
Wow.
And you can see the full screen. What's that? Command Option F. I just discovered that the other day, and it's like Pretty cool.
I will
Okay,
say,
you can.
one of my favorite things about watching people build stuff live is everyone always has like some shortcut that they know, and you see them do something quickly and you're like, what? How did you just do that? So,
Mhm.
yeah, anyone in the
But I
chat,
love
if
that.
you
Yeah.
have a favorite shortcut, share the love over here. Cameron just dropped this period bomb on us. Look at that. Amazing.
I will say the UI is just such a great tool for building these pipes. I mean, we've been talking about how easy it is to bring in data. I mean, you can drag a CSV file in on top of the UI and import it that way, which is so simple. It's so simple, I almost forget it's there. I guess I like to click buttons and stuff, but it's amazing how you can drag files and just there they are.
Let me
I
see
go.
if I can. Whoa.
Yeah. Boom.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
The
is
other thing I
cool.
should mention, what you just dragged in there was a data source file. So like all of these, if you're a you know a I don't know, a keyboard warrior, if UIs aren't your thing, like all of this stuff is manageable through our CLI. Every resource you create in Tinybird can be represented as a file. We have this really great VS Code extension that keeps getting better almost like every month. So I really like to that's another great way if you already have this like a mature project, just like pulling all those resources into VS Code. You can even run your queries from VS Code. There's a cool shortcut to do that. So there's a lot of fun stuff you can do there too, if that's your vibe.
Yeah, definitely check out Tinybird's GitHub. I also need to learn Git. Guys, I'm trying to learn so much so quickly, but over on GitHub there's a ton of great examples. My app demo, it will be up there when I figure out how to use Git. I will get it up there for you and make sure to share it out along with the tutorial. But yeah, it's really cool that you can just kind of like download a repo and run a Tinybird like CLI command and automatically push all of the stuff there, the sources, the pipes, everything. But I will say it is great to be able to have both, right? When you're first learning something, having the UI experience, the guided experience, it makes things really easy. But yeah, if you're a person who types 500 words a minute and wants to do everything CLI, well, we have that for you as well. Okay, let's get back into it. So now we have this. So it must be really hard by now to turn this into an endpoint, right, Jim? So hard to actually publish this.
Oh, so
I don't
hard.
know.
Hey,
Maybe we start with
we're
the green button.
I would go there, yeah. Look at that.
Whoa!
the confetti never gets old.
Yep.
It
Never gets old.
really never gets old. I also think that we should figure out how to add some music to it, maybe. Maybe we can all get together and write a little jingle to go with the confetti.
That's a good Easter egg.
So, all right. So here we can see this API. And another great thing, especially for someone like me who's new and learning a lot, is that it gives you these templates in all these different formats to make it really easy to just copy and paste what you need over. And of course, you could always like test your APIs by just copying that HTTP and putting it right into your browser. So we can see, okay, looks like this is working. I think actually, oh, I did not uncomment these things that I needed, of course. Just that's going to be the road to everything breaking. Okay.
But that's really cool. You just demonstrated like all you did was uncomment 3 lines of SQL and your API is updated.
Yeah.
Like boom.
That's a subtle but important point right there. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
And that example usage box, I mean, right there. Oh, I'm a Python developer. I can go in and click the Python tab and get some request-based examples of doing that. And then illustrating all the outputs that we can produce. The default being JSON, but maybe you want to do Parquet or S. Yeah.
Oh my God. You know, this seems obvious, but I never even looked on that side of the arrow.
Yeah.
CSV can be really fun too. Like if you want to just dump the result into a CSV, just go explore it somewhere else. I do that every once in a while.
Here's the real question. How much of a circular loop can I do creating a data source from a Tinybird API and just rinse and repeat? Do we think that would cause issues anywhere?
I think you'd break the internet.
Yeah. Maybe
do it.
Our other friend, Alistair Brown, you've probably seen him on some videos and streams before. I think he's in the chat. Maybe he has an answer to the infinite Tinybird loop. All right.
If we have time at the end, we can try it.
We can. Oh, goodness.
He's busy live tweeting all of your discoveries here.
Oh my god. Taking all
it's good.
of like me doing something ridiculous for 2 seconds, probably. All right. So this Tinybird part, so simple, easy. Now we're ready to go with the data. So now here comes the hard part, which is actually just like putting it into your app. So yeah, Tinybird makes the data stuff easy so you can focus on building a beautiful app for people. So while I am getting started here, Cameron, Jim, I'm curious, you know, what was it like in your first month? What was something that you wish you had learned earlier that I can maybe take with me and it can help me ramp up faster?
First month. Well, you know, it's like the fire hose of knowledge. I think just keep reading. We have so many good blog posts and examples, but of course, I would say you reaching out to us to know what you're looking for. Yeah, I don't know.
I think one of the things that, like, I even use this as a Tinybird employee when I get stuck is the Slack community. Like joining that community when if I'm doing a demo like this, just like simple stuff like, hey, this SQL is not working. I don't know. It's just like this nice place to go and ask questions. And even though I work for Tinybird, I will still occasionally ask the community questions. And there's some Tinybird power users in there that can that have done most of this stuff 10 times over. So that's a really useful place.
Yeah,
I am excited
what did you
to meet them?
What did you just do? Tell me what you just did.
I just did another magic trick of copying and pasting some code from another window. So essentially, I have this use fetch API function. So this is one of the reusable things I was able to figure out. And this is just like a way to kind of go and call that API. So I just need to update the URL, and this will handle kind of the rest for me. You know, I'm not quite yet on my journey where I've fully figured out the JWT stuff.
That's fair.
We have some content on, you know, on the blog, I think the YouTube channel as well, plus a GitHub repo with an example that, you know, this week I was trying to follow along with and update for my needs, but was biting off a little more than I can chew. So next time you can worry about not seeing this, but for now, you know,
it's local dev. It's fine. It's local dev. We're fine.
Yeah. I'm going to go and refresh these tokens. So don't even think about sitting there and retyping every letter.
Yeah.
And while you're doing this, I'll just throw in a, you're going to want to add an O on the end. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you. Thanks, Cameron. Good luck.
I saw when you were copying
That's
it.
why we're here.
That's going to be a bug. Yeah, if you're kind of new to the JWTs in Tinybird world, that was something we recently launched, is the ability to generate a JSON web token for your Tinybird APIs. And why is that cool? So when you generate a JWT, you can do things like pass fixed query parameters. So that's really useful. So like the classic example would be, you've got a multi-tenant data source with data from a bunch of different users in it. And if you publish a pipe, maybe that's got a, filter, where user ID equals, and then you're passing some query parameter. You obviously don't want to pass that query parameter from the client because it's really easily manipulated. So you can use a JWT and pass and basically have a fixed parameter in that JWT. And that JWT gets signed with your admin token. And so, any attempt to tinker with that would invalidate it, and then it won't work. So basically the net of it is now you can much more easily make a request to a Tinybird endpoint directly from the browser, directly from the client, and sort of blur out, remove some of those sensitive details. And there's also, we recently added the ability to add rate limiting to your APIs in the JWT. So you issue a JWT to your end user, you can give them a rate limit. You can even put global rate limits on your APIs, things like that. So that's super useful as well, in my opinion.
Oh, darn. What have I done?
Well, that's good. It's a demo. It's a live demo.
You're importing a component that needs, do you need to import use effect? No, you haven't. Okay. Yeah.
I'm still not sure why, but I have found, okay, so this is not cute at all. I was just trying to get in here to show, in fact, that we are getting this data over. So it's working.
Cool. It's just formatted. Yeah.
Yeah. API part is easy. It's all this stuff. All right. So now how do we turn this to this? I think something that will help, though, is maybe if Jim tells a story from his beginnings at Tinybird, so I can get over here and try to do some stuff.
That sounds fair. And you're asking about, okay, it's your first month. And this is really for obviously anyone new with Tinybird and a lot of people come to Tinybird with some kind of passion project or a project that they want to build out. And I think for me, that was key. My background was in weather data. So when I first sat down at Tinybird, it's like, how can I use this to build a set of weather-based APIs? And I think that is just really opens up the doors to diving into the product. Or you may, it may not be a passion project, but some project you're working on at work and you have some mission. I think that's key to have a data set that inside and out, and then you want to start analyzing it more and publishing that data. I think it leads to a successful and good journey with Tinybird.
Yeah, I think not just Tinybird, anything, right? I think that was always my advice at my past job for people who are trying to learn the tech was like, pick a project of something that you actually care about, that you know about, because it's one thing to have to focus on learning the technology. It's another thing to have to focus on learning the technology and understanding the use case, which is just, it makes it too hard. So I don't know if you saw the magic that just happened, another nice copy and paste effort by me of just some formatting here on these messages. So, we're taking the messages that we got back and taking these different values, throwing some styling on them. And got here. Now, look, the copy and paste is a little misleading. This took me a long time to get together, but even copy and pasting on stream can be hard, which is why I'm here with my friends. So, all right, great. So we have the demo going. Shall we see if the real time works?
I think it's really cool. Just like, go ahead and turn it on and I'll explain. Like, I just think it's really cool. I don't know. This may seem obvious or simple, but it's cool to see how all of the different pieces from that API payload, like how you've incorporated them into each card. And it's just, I don't know, I like how you have the little country from where that user is and things like that. It's a fun little implementation detail.
Thanks, Cameron. And we can I missed something. So while I'm figuring that out, I'll just show you guys here.
Is there a refresh? like a refresh set interval you need to put on or something on your demo?
Good. So yeah, so
And it's
the
working there.
original one is working. The demo one is not working. So let's see. Maybe we can try and figure this out together. I do on my other screen have the final code open. Not that that always helps, you know? Okay. Cheer feed. All right.
So you do have it refreshing every second. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, oh, wait a second. Here it is. You know, one day when I stopped hard coding everything, oh gosh, what have I done?
Cheers demo.
When I stop hard coding everything, you guys are going to be so impressed by my demos.
I think it was it Cheers demo pipe? What did you name that API? I'm trying to remember.
I think it was just
Cheers demo.
Cheers demo. Let's see.
Well, Cheers demo is the name of the data source, so it's not Cheers demo.
Wait.
That's your data source, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
No, it is Cheers demo.
Data is cheer demo. Data
cheered.
It's Cheers demo. This is how I get myself into trouble.
What's in the name?
Oh, pro tip.
I was just say it brings up a detail about Tinybird is the namespace, and yeah, you couldn't have a pipe the same name as a data source, but
so I am curious about maybe you guys can share or chat if any of you out there have any practices that you use when it comes to how you name things, right? So I've recently learned about this whole declare the variable and then set whatever, there's like these different paradigms to follow when naming different things. So are there any when it comes to Tinybird and pipes while I try to figure this out?
No, I mean, I think it's kind of what works for you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any. I probably should. I probably should follow some naming conventions.
For me, the delineation is, okay, I'm going to stand up an endpoint. What would be a nice, concise, but meaningful name to the end user? But then in other cases, say I'm using a pipe to, populate a materialized view. I like to kind of add that to the pipe name, just so me as a developer, I can go back and be like, oh, I have 20 pipes here. These are the ones that are populating MVs or materialized views. But I do know I spend way too much time thinking about names.
Yeah.
Function names, variable names.
Oh.
What are we seeing in the dev console? When in doubt.
When in doubt.
Open the dev console.
Failed to load.
Okay, we're getting a 403 from our Tinybird resource.
Okay, let's just take this whole thing again, and all right. So
is it? Is the token right? Is that maybe you? I don't know.
Oh, I guess
it was a different token. Yeah, it was probably your old token.
Oh yes,
there it is.
Just wait until I have variables.
Yeah. Local dev, baby. Copy and paste those tokens. The good thing is they're long enough to not really fit on the screen. So, if somebody did want to go and grab those tokens and mess around with you right now, they'd have to do some work.
There it is. Okay, now the streaming is still happening. So let's see if it's like magic. It's like magic. Okay, let's stop that for now. Now, all right, we've sent a bunch of this data over, and this is cool, right? Bring home the medal. That was incredible. Going for gold. But the messages are one thing. As data nerds, we love to see a chart. And the good news is Tinybird just launched charts that make it easier than ever to kind of take those APIs that are already really easy to make and then turn it into things like this. Ooh la la. So let's see if we can get this most cheers going. So let's see. Let me find this most years here. Jim, do you have a dream Tinybird project that you have not had the time to work on yet?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like for me, it's like the front end. I don't have a lot of JavaScript front end experience, so I love working with data, but more importantly, I like visualizing and seeing data and seeing the results of all these pipes that I've been building and this different aggregations. So in my dream world, I'd have more time to spend kind of like what you're doing here. And this gives me inspiration for my next workshop. And I'm looking forward to when you have this project up on Git to learn from it. But my passion project is always about weather and flooding, and it was a chapter of my life and my career, and it's stuck with me. It's just great data to like build on, because everybody likes talking about the weather, and it's public domain, and you're not like picking a company to go champion.
Yeah, I will say that I recently, living in Pittsburgh, there have been a lot of tornadoes and tornado warnings, which is very weird because I don't think that's normal for the area. But I've discovered YouTube channel, this guy who does live streams talking about like all the weather stuff. I'll have to send that to you. I think you might like it if you're into weather. Cameron,
I don't love tornadoes though.
Yeah, no. I want him to make sure I'm out of the way of the tornadoes.
Yeah, I grew up in the Midwest. I have like haunting memories in my childhood of going to the basement.
Cameron, I was about to ask you.
What's my passion project?
Yes.
Is that what you're gonna ask me?
You knew.
Yeah.
How'd you know?
Yeah.
Something with wings, birds.
Yeah. If you you know me, it's like Tinybird is the perfect company for me to work at. I'm a huge beak geek. I love birds. I go birding often. I take photographs of birds. If you follow the Tinybird Instagram, you might see some of them. A little Easter egg for you. No, but I also I have a bird merchandise e-commerce store that I kind of do as a little side project. I'm actually wearing one of my shirts. This is a Magnolia Warbler. It's one of my faves. But I was playing around last night with building an API to basically provide. So like my whole thing is like, if you buy one shirt, you get another one 20% off. So when somebody adds one to the cart, I want the cart drawer to open, and then I want it to say like, hey, add another one and you'll get 20% off. It's great. It's a good deal. But I'm using Tinybird I basically built a custom pixel to send all these events to Tinybird. And then I can use Tinybird to look at like in session data. So what has that customer looked at during the session? I can also use it to look at like, what did they look in the past? And then compare it to sort of like the global product rankings of what it's most popular. And I've created this API that will recommend the 3 products that I think they're most likely to want to add to their cart based on their browsing behavior, and kind of what everybody else likes. And then I'm in the middle of implementing this, but I can send that data, in the browser, and then go and grab those 3 products and show them in the cart, say, hey, I think you'll like these. So that's like kind of a very, maybe not the classic user-facing analytics where you're building a dashboard, but it is user-facing analytics. I'm using real-time data to attempt to personalize a browsing experience on an e-commerce store. What's so cool about this is like, I'm a total JWT coder. Like, I'm not very experienced, but I've spent like 2 hours on this last night, and already have like, the only hard thing now for me is to actually implement the front end stuff, like stylizing, and it's like, that's the easy part, was building the API. So it's just like, it's really fun to be able to really quickly iterate and build stuff like this.
Yeah, data is everything, okay, we have 5 minutes left. I was just I'm glad that you were talking about your store and birds while I was having some very silly typing issues. But now we're here, we're making another pipe that is going to go ahead and count how many cheers each athlete has gotten. Oh, and it looks like in this new data set, Simone is not yet at the top. We have Katie
Come
Ledecky
on,
and Elliot Kipchoge. So we'll
Katie's
see
pretty
how
awesome,
that
too.
changes. Okay, 5 minutes. Gotta finish. Luckily, easy to go ahead and publish that. We get confetti again, and now we get to create a chart. So this is fun. So let's call it most cheers. And we are going to, what are we going to say here? We want our index to be who the athlete is, and then the category to be cheers. And I wanted to select a different chart. We have a lot of options here, but this bar list. Now, this may look a little bit different to you from what I have on my finished product, but with charts, it is very easy to change the styling. And once you get styling that you like, so in my case, I'm trying to keep a consistent kind of palette here, I can go ahead and select that style and it'll automatically update.
I didn't even know we had that feature. That's so cool.
It's a
this is me wasting too much time agonizing about all the colors. And you know, pulling the hex codes from the like official Paris Olympics palette.
Yes,
anyway.
That's always fun.
It's the details that make a good dev.
We'll go ahead and create that chart. So just as easy as anything else. And again, it gives us already the code to make that component. So in this case, I'm making a Next.js app. So I'm going to be using React here, but there's also iframe. And so let's go ahead and get this in. Can she do it?
You can do it.
Yes, she can.
All right, so we see we're importing bar list from this NPM library for Tinybird charts. So again, just like everything else, you can actually do all of this outside of the Tinybird UI, but it's fun to do in the UI. It feels good. All right, so here we have all of that, and I will just throw this down over here. Oh my God.
And while you're doing that, I'll talk a little bit about the Tinybird charts library. So the Tinybird charts library is, as it sounds, it's great for kind of really quickly spinning up charts. You can apply these stylized presets and you have this, this library that you can use. But the library is more than just a charts library. Like, it's got some really cool React hooks that you can use to like fetch your Tinybird data. So it's really easy to define. There's this use query hook that you can use to then kind of fetch Tinybird data and have some things on that. Like you can set a refresh interval really quickly. So you don't need to set up this like kind of use effects interval thing. There's even like you can change the dependency array for that chart. So like if something updates in your app and you want it to refresh the chart, that's a really easy thing to do as well. Yeah, it's a cool library and it keeps getting better too. So it's like a really neat way to interact with your Tinybird data for building charts, but also just like if you want to pull that data into your React application, there's some cool stuff there too.
Okay, so I had copied and pasted that code and that gave me the chart, but there was a few other things I did to make the chart also refresh. So I just copied and pasted that text over. So now we should see, if I start generating on cheer demo again, please. Oh, what did I miss?
We can figure this out. We can figure this out.
Okay. All right. All right.
Got it.
So,
probably a token or something.
Okay. So we have most cheers using this chart provider so that we can give those things in.
It's probably where are you passing in those parameters? Are you pulling in the right endpoint and token?
Yeah, so that's why when I remembered why I had hard-coded endpoint, token, and base URL all separately, so that I could just feed those in here.
Go check out to Al's point in the
Yeah, let's
chat.
look at the console.
Let's go to the dev.
Do the
go to dev
console.
Let's
Oh,
see what it's complaining about.
I didn't want to go over time for my first.
That's okay.
Okay. Is it complaining about anything?
I'm sure it's something simple. It always is.
Okay, let's see. Well, okay, I copy and pasted some code, right? So let me check.
Yeah, we could go. You could check out the network tab in the console just to see what that API request is doing. Well, you're getting the data. That's Cheers demo. What you're trying to select Cheers chart, right? Or what's the name of the Cheers chart pipe? Cheer chart demo. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So.
Okay, it doesn't look like it's. Anyways.
Oh, I see. This, just wait until I figure out.
What do we have? What was does the chart have a different name? Or what did we read? Did you name your pipe something different? I don't know.
Yeah. So the chart, because they're two separate pipes, right? So we have Cheers demo and Cheer chart demo, which are the two. And then the tokens look the same. So the tokens look the same, and I copied this right over. Well, friends, I think we should call it here. Just knowing that,
right?
Not live. I figured this out, and we can show that one off again. Here we go.
Yeah, here's to having the final version that we know works perfectly. That's awesome.
Also, I like it when Simone is winning. So
wait, no, it's just wait. Okay, Al had suggested something, but I will look back and figure that out, and it's all going to be in the guide and in the GitHub repo when I figure that out. So keep an eye out and stay tuned for future live sessions we have coming up. Next one, Jim, do you want to tell the people about it?
Yeah, well, it's going to be about building dashboards, kind of like this, but we're going to be focusing more on Postgres and comparing kind of a A/B test with pulling straight from a hosted Postgres instance of lots of data, and then updating a design to using Tinybird instead, and just showing different performance gains. And a lot to be figured out. I'm going to be in the mode you've been in for the last couple of weeks, getting this thing prepared, but I'm looking forward to it. As we were discussing before, it's just fun to have lots of new stuff to learn too. So.
Yeah. No, it's definitely fun. It's a lot. Cameron, any content you want to see from us even further? Anything that people could look out for?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I'll start with just like recapping what I saw, which was, you have this app, which is really great. And, you used this one. Yeah, it's really cool.
You're a designer.
Like, I really like this. This is cool. I like that Tinybird is kind of backing all of this. Obviously, I work for Tinybird. I'm very biased. But I think what's cool is like, okay, you used the Events API to stream data into Tinybird, so you're getting those real-time events. You're joining that with data that you have, let's call it your application database in Postgres, that you're using Supabase, whether you want to use Supabase or Neon or RDS or any of the billion variants of Postgres. And then you're really quickly building these APIs with SQL and creating charts that you're using. I think the thing, and you have this little this UI hint up there, which is, in this demo, you're doing it locally, you're streaming data with Mockingbird. That's great. But you have this little component up there, share your cheer, where it's like, okay, you can bring this full circle, and now instead of generating mock data, like actually build something where you're instrumenting your application such that if somebody shares a cheer, that's going to post data to Tinybird. And now all of a sudden you have this, this situation where you're kind of generating data from the app and then bringing the analytics back into the app all in real time, which I think is the kind of the exciting thing is being able to use your application as a data source.
Yeah. Thank you for coming back to that, because I did want to paint the full picture of, hey, we can come back to it. And again, like the hard part is figuring out the component stuff. The easy part is just plugging Tinybird into it afterwards. I was playing around actually with Mockingbird and having multiple Mockingbird tabs open, streaming to the same data source just to see how it would go, getting it from multiple places. And it was pretty cool. I was trying to do it for play-by-plays. This is maybe a future feature. And I was just like generating some fake data around, hey, this player did this thing, and whether, I don't know.
It's cool.
But we can stay on the cheers one. I'm proud of the cheers one.
No, it's good. I would add, so like if you're still on and you have thoughts or ideas for something you'd like to see us build, let us know. You can drop a note here in the chat. You can email us hi@tinybird.co, or you can join our Slack community and ask a question there, provide some feedback. That's a great place to ask. I know we had somebody ask about materialized views and wanting to see kind of some more deep dive on how those work. We didn't cover that here. It's a really great optimization lever in Tinybird, so that's something we might cover in the future. But if there's anything you want to see us build in Tinybird, whether that's a certain kind of app or kind of exploring deep diving onto kind of a more technical feature, let us know. We'd love to have feedback.
Yeah, I definitely need ideas for content that I'm going to create, and also things to learn about. So I'm really excited to be able to learn a lot and reinforce my own learning by sharing it with you and learning things from you out there. So thank you everyone for joining into my first and definitely not last Tinybird live stream. Jim and Cameron, thanks for being on as emotional support. So when I was running into some issues, the people were still entertained. And very excited to see you all in the next one. And don't forget to check out Jim's in a couple of weeks here. All right.
Great job,
everyone.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.